Hello and welcome to Cover Story. This week we have our favorite guest back again on the studio. I'm talking about BJP leader Subramanian Swamy, and he's come once again with yet another scalp under his belt. Mr. Swamy, congratulations on the JJayalalithaa conviction. It's taken
Congratulate the Indian system that it delivered the goods.
But your hard work, you first filed the case.
Sure, but the hard work, the influence didn't work, money didn't work, the judge stood his ground, the public prosecutor did his job. So I think it's a tribute to our system. We should be proud of India.
But going legal merits aside, what about your personal equation with JJayalalithaa? It's been a hot and cold relationship.
Yeah, it's a cyclic one. She gets temperamental. You see, the thing is that she doesn't like anyone to attack her Saheli, Shashikala, who in my opinion is a criminal, capable of murder. She threw acid on an IAS officer called Ms. Chandralekha, just for opposing a disinvestment proposal on which they wanted to make money from Chidambaram's cousin called Muthaiya. And so she is very sensitive on that. So when I went to Sri Lanka, I upstaged her because I got the fishermen released. And I said, I will not get the boats released because it belongs to Shashikala. I am not upset on that. So therefore, I had, when she had thrown the acid on, she watched on as Shashikala organized the throwing of acid on Chandralekha. At that time, I had the quarrel started. Then she used all her cadre against me for violence as they are doing now. And then I started filing cases. And when she wanted to make up after losing the election, she lost her own election and everybody attributed it to my campaign. She came to my house. I've known her for a long time before also. And she said that she was inexperienced, she wanted to work together. So I said, but I will not withdraw any cases. That I will tell you right now, because none of them is wrong. So she said okay, and then she thought she could manage it if she came back to power. But
this was in the 90s, I think.
Yeah, late 90s.
So despite the fact that you had cases, your cases
she
were still...
and I are very good friends. She used to blame it on inexperience. She once or twice jokingly referred to most of my problems are because of you. I said, I can't help it, you wanted to fight, so I fought. But, I can't go and tell the court today that I was wrong. They will think that I've been using the court. Now that I made up with you, I wanted to withdraw, so I can't do it. So, she basically, her problem, she's, native intelligence she has. But she has had a horrible childhood because her mother was very poor and she made her do wrong things. She was a very good student. They pulled her out of school, sent to the cinema world where all these Dravidian types were brutal with her. And so she is psychologically, she doesn't like people, especially men. And so because I was a professor at Harvard and also she was she was a little enamored of that. And so when we were friends, it used to be great having conversation with her, but it was very difficult because Shashikala had a grip on her and Shashikala didn't want anyone to have any influence on her. So that's how this problem goes up and down.
So the break happened when
the break happened when Shashikala disapproved of my helping her, and she wanted to bring down the BJP government in 1999. And I was her ally.
That tea party between Sonia and...
That tea party, yeah. So I was an ally of hers, and she kept telling me, bring it down, bring it down. So I said, some time must pass, and we were part of the NDA. And after 1 year, she said, I won't tolerate any more delay. You got to do this for me because they have let me down. They have done this. They have done that. I think she was angry that they didn't withdraw the cases against her and were using it to manipulate her. But Shashikala had developed relations with Sonia Gandhi.
Oh, she had a good relationship.
Both like money. And so I didn't know this, you see. So I brought down the government, and then suddenly The whole thing got sabotaged with Sonia Gandhi saying she will form the government when the agreement was that she would not form the government. It will be somebody else. And then Sasikala used her influence to get JJayalalithaa to side with Sonia Gandhi. And she went in alliance with her. So I said, listen, getting her together for bringing down BJP government is one thing, but to surrender to her is wrong. That's how it started. Then again it improved in around 2007, 2008 when she wanted me to stand for President of India.
Jayalalithaa was supporting you?
Yeah, she phoned me up. I was teaching at Harvard at that time. She called me up and said, you come back, be the President of India. Our candidate for President, Mulayam Singh is in your favor, Chandrababu is in your favor.
She even lobbied for you?
Yeah, she was part of that grouping against Bairon Singh Shekhawat. I told her, I've already signed a contract with Harvard, I can't break it. And you know, I knew with them, who can say, I leave everything, come to India, and they suddenly change, we have changed our mind, and it looked terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't take it seriously. And I told her, no, I can't break my contract with Harvard. I have to teach, and students depend on me, I have to administer an exam. So, I mean, that's the kind. She wanted me to be finance minister in Vajpayee's government. She put up a real fight for it. And when Vajpayee refused to agree, that's how she said, no, how can he turn me down? You have to bring this government down.
Oh, that was the reason. They
That
thought that was the case.
That was the only. No. It was the insult. She takes insult very quickly.
So that's a huge road from pulling out a government because of you to now.
Yeah. So it's click, and I feel sorry for her actually, because she has been through a hard thing. But she has converted that whole politics into a complete tribal society. Look at the way they are sobbing. None of them really feel any grief, I can tell you that. It's all cinema.
It's a crying sham.
Crying sham, yeah. Sham crying.
Sham crying. How is this Chief Minister going to work? How is it going to work? Will he go every day morning flight to Bangalore?
He'll develop independence, because if she's in jail, she can't control him.
Does he have the guts to strike it on his own? I mean, 4 years is a short time in politics.
Yeah, but you see, Narasimha Rao also they thought will be a rubber stamp, and found out. So did Lal Bahadur Shastri. They thought a little sparrow used to.
Does he have the guts to strike it on his own? I mean, 4 years is a short time in politics.
Yeah, but you see, Narasimha Rao also they thought will be a rubber stamp, and found out. So did Lal Bahadur Shastri. They thought a little sparrow used to be called a little sparrow by Jawaharlal Nehru. It turned out to be independent. Power makes a lot of difference. If she was proximate, then of course they would fall in line.
Like last time.
Yeah, and last time it wasn't so. It was a very technicality. She had to step down. It was my case in the Election Commission that she had filed in 6 places. Whereas the Election Commission only permits you, the election law only permits you to filing from 2 places.
Okay.
And it's a violation. It's written there that if you will be disqualified. All the nominations will be cancelled. So it all got cancelled. Then she said, no, I will continue for 6 months without being an MLA. I took it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said nothing doing.
So how ironclad is the case against her, because she's appealing in the High Court and she's got a heavyweight lawyer, Ram Jethmalani?
I don't think Ram Jethmalani is heavyweight. Because if he were there, he would have saved Kanyakumari.
That's true, another of your victims.
Yeah.
Or the scalps that you... 2G.
So, no, Jethmalani is an emotional man, so suddenly he'll get into his head that he should defend somebody. He will defend all kinds of people. He defended one criminal who was called Premananda or something, and he lost that case too. I mean, the guy is in for life. I don't think that will make it. Jethmalani, I think he's a good criminal lawyer, but you know, these are not ordinary criminal cases. It's a high-profile case where the whole country is looking at you. Every judge knows that billion multiplied by 2 eyes are focused on you. So it won't make any difference. This is an open-shut case. And she had no money. She had total assets of 3 crores when she became Chief Minister. She took 1 rupee per month as her salary, and suddenly...
I believe you were very impressed with the 1 rupee per month until you realized.
That's right. Yeah, that time we thought she was doing a great sacrifice. But then we found that she had acquired, and then this acid attack, that opened my eyes. I mean, why would you attack an IAS officer? So slowly I found she was beginning to make money, and then Sasikala just went on a riot. She even made money on injections to hospital, you know, those disposable
syringes.
You're not supposed to use it again, but she would get it used and pass it off as new.
So she is really the...
she's really the evil genius. She's the Kubri or Manthara or Shakuni.
In this equation. But is Jayalalithaa still close to her? Because this...
Yeah, they are. She can't live without her because she selects her sari, she selects her chappal, she manages the dhobi. She can't run a household. Jayalalithaa hasn't got patience for details.
Okay, moving on to the other big story of the week, Modi and US.
Yeah.
So it's, a lot of that has happened in terms of strategic term, this support to ISIS, India and China coming together, a lot of stuff that you've been talking about.
Yeah. Well, I'm pleased with this visit for 3-4 reasons. Number one, his speech in the UN was about the best an Indian Prime Minister can give. Totally ignored Kashmir. Spoke about Indian issues. And he spoke in, of course, Hindi speaking is, incidentally, almost everybody speaks in their own language. But he put his ideas across very clearly, and the way he dealt with Pakistan was superb. He said, I'm ready to talk, but you first create the environment. I mean, you can't have one side terrorism and the other side talk. And the Kashmir he didn't refer to at all. And there was a lot of pressure on him to reply to Nawaz Sharif point by point, which is rubbish. You see, in fact, internationalized it then, because then the question of who's right and who's wrong. Second thing I liked very much is that he called Rajapaksa, and in this long hour discussion, he never mentioned the so-called violation of human rights of the Tamils, which in my opinion is international bogus. Huh?
Why is that a good thing?
That's a good thing because that's all. You think that we are not accused of violation of human rights in Kashmir and Nagaland? I mean, there are international groups who are just this. They don't want Rajapaksa to claim the credit for having finished off a sinister, nasty terrorist organization, which killed more Tamil leaders than they killed Sinhalese leaders, you see. So, and LTT was anti-Indian. And we should have been celebrating. Second, Netanyahu.
The Israeli fan.
And they have discussed everything. You see, that vote for Gaza in favor of Hamas was, I think, an aberration. It's a leftover of the UPA which has done this, you see.
But why didn't Modi take a stand then?
Well, maybe he wasn't aware, fully. No, in the sense, you see, it depends on how you put it to him. When he saw the reaction, then he began to think, I doubt we'll ever do that again.
So he did a course correction.
Yeah, and he more than made up for it. So these are three things where he has shown true leadership.
See, another course correction which I want him to, is in the economic issues. He's going and giving a message saying, I will bring investors here, bring in confidence. Then one big step would have been if he had repealed that Vodafone retrospective amendment. Why didn't they do that?
Well, I think the finance minister is not in favor. And he's the ultimate deciding factor in these matters. I agree with you that it should be repealed. But the finance minister has a different view. The other thing is that, see, the Americans are not going to be impressed just by saying you're welcome. What about octroi? What about land acquisition? What about electricity? Gujarat is fine. But in other places, the state electricity board is a real mess, you see. So what about infrastructure? What about the turnaround? For instance, you see the amount of time it takes to drive a freight truck from Madras to Delhi is 4 times what it takes in a country like Singapore. Projection of that distance. Singapore is a small country, but turnaround of boats, ships in dockyards, availability of feeder airport flights, which we don't have.
Yeah.
We are only major cities having. So those are the things where he has to see, the people have to see action. And then they will come. But we should not open the doors blindly. We must make sure that the level playing field is there for our entrepreneurs also. You see, for instance, our Walmart, I don't think we should ever allow Walmart to come. Why? Because they get funds from their banks at 2% interest rate.
While
Our traders have to pay at least 12%. How is that fair competition? They are both going to compete for the same labor force, cheap labor force. And because the increase in demand, the wage rates will also rise. We've got crores of traders. You see, now I don't think that
that's a good.
we should.
But you spoke of Walmart. Do you think it's time to make lobbying legal in or get a system in place? Because it does happen. There is, we call it advocacy or whatever. But lobbying should be.
Disclosure is enough. We don't have to make it legal. We can say that if you are lobbying for anybody, you have to disclose yourself. Now, if you have a lawyer turned minister and he has represented somebody, then you can't allow him to be present on that issue. You see, like
but that ethics committee says that you should.
Yes, somebody has to refer to it. You see. People are too scared to refer to the ethics committee of any minister. It has to be with the support of the government. But that will come because on corruption, Modi is very clear. I asked him also that I'm going after A, B, C, D. What do you have to say? Do you have any soft corner for anybody? He said no. When it comes to corruption, the rule of law is important.
Even in the JJayalalithaa case?
I won't name who all I asked. But he said, and that in my opinion, all right, I'll say this much, it includes JJayalalithaa. Because he propounded a principle to me. If you pursue according to law, I will not stand in the way. That's enough.
That's enough because Modi and JJayalalithaa have a special equation.
So do I.
Yours is hot and cold.
Yeah, mine is cyclic. But he knows that corruption is an important thing. It's, after all, it's the courts deciding. The Prime Minister is not deciding.
Yeah, but you are pushing.
Well, why shouldn't I produce? Yeah, we have come to power on. We came to power on three things: Modi's leadership, the anti-corruption campaign, and Hindutva for the cadre.
Achha, this Hindutva for the cadre, the recent by-elections have shown that it didn't really work. Would you agree?
That's not correct.
Why is that not correct?
Because we used Hindutva in 3 Muzaffarnagar seats. We won all 3. We used Hindutva in Bengal, in Silchar constituency. We won that.
But what about the other seats?
Other seats we didn't use Hindutva at all.
That's Yogi Adityanath was campaigning all over.
No. He was in Muzaffarnagar. You please check his itinerary.
But it's not just the physical presence, it's also the whole atmosphere that is built up.
No, I don't think that people... I tell you, in the case of the other constituency, you'll have to see who is the candidate, number 1. Number 2, did the party worker mobilize voters? Because there was a 22% drop in the voter turnout compared to Parliament. These are our people. I was in Bareilly therefore yesterday. I asked them, kya ho gaya? They said, by-election mein kaun jaakar mehnat karega?
Achha.
So they're feeling, they didn't realize it will have this impact. Then
but after
Mayawati didn't contest.
That helped the SP.
Absolutely. Mayawati had contested, and if I subtract the vote that Mayawati got in Parliament from the Samajwadi Party's vote, they would have been behind us. We would have won.
But also, this Modi thing, there's a fear that he's running a one-man show. He's one of the 3 things why BJP won, according to you, and according to a lot of people. But it's becoming a one-man show. We are hearing rumors every day, usko danta, nahi bhi kiya. But the perception is that...
if you know your job, Modi will never say a word against you. Never. If you are not devoting attention the way he devotes attention to his work, comes at 9 o'clock in the morning, leaves at 9 o'clock at night. You are not like to see him in parties. You are not like to see him in dark sunglasses and T-shirts and jeans. You see? So, I mean...
When we see him in a lot of designer wear in this US trip, he's taken some trouble.
No, these are all Indian clothes.
Indian clothes, but he's looking good. I mean, it's a compliment. It's not negative.
Indian clothes, yes. But you can't be in jeans and T-shirt.
So that story is true, that minister was...
I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm
you
just
approve of
giving
it?
I disapprove. Because for the Indian climate, the best clothes are these loose clothes that we wear. You see? And therefore...
But personal choice at the end of the day.
It's personal choice, but we do it because of inferiority complex. It's not personal choice. We are programmed, our mind has been programmed. I'm saying to you that the best for this Indian weather is not tight jeans.
But
it's the loose clothes.
A next person may feel comfortable in jeans, even if he's a minister.
No. Minister should set standards. Like he should not drink alcoholic drinks. It's there in the Constitution. Mahatma Gandhi said, if I'm Prime Minister for one day, the first thing I'll do is declare prohibition. Okay? So we have never in our tradition, by the way, ever extolled drinks as a normal part of our menu. People say soma and all that. Soma is just fermentation. And that too, it's only when a religious function of a particular kind. But no, I mean, yes, Duryodhana used to drink, but Rama didn't, Krishna didn't.
A lot of Christian bhakts...
well, they're doing it, then they're violating it. See, I am talking about ideals. I'm not saying that I'm going to enforce it on you.
And that is my second question. Is there seems to be less tolerance? You are very present, visible on the social media. If we say anything against, forget against, even if there's an objective criticism of Modi, that's been taken as, there is this whole attack, this impatience.
But you see, that happens both sides. Huh? It happens,
the other side is not, they haven't got their act together. I'm this maybe equally intolerant.
I can give you. I have been told this time, come to Madras, I'll kill you. Now what do I do with that? The man says openly. Now, this is the kind of reaction. They say, I mean, it's very crude, the kinds of things they said to me, but I just block them, that's all I do. I agree with you that there should be some civility in the language you use. But I think over a period of time, that has to come by punitive measures. Those who use, especially against women, I mean, I've seen some really cheap remarks. And I must tell you one thing, that I'm surprised to find that the language of some of the minority social media people is much worse than I've seen of anyone else. I mean, they really have very poor opinion of women, I find. So somewhere we have to enforce it. There is a need for it. There's a need for it. And civility in language is something we have to, and it's within the Constitution. Constitution says you have a fundamental right to speech, but it's subject to reasonable restrictions.
Exactly, because that's what a need for.
There's a need for it, and civility in language is something we have to, and it's within the Constitution. Constitution says you have a fundamental right to speech, but it's subject to reasonable restrictions.
Exactly, because that's what...
no, I would be in favor of enforcing that. Civility in language, culture. Because our culture is also like that. We have always been polite even when you don't like somebody. You have the courts for that. Yeah. What about all the defamation cases against you? Those will never stand because it's ridiculous. One defamation case is that I said, one Twitter asked me, why didn't you release the boats? So I said, listen, I went to release the fishermen because the Fishermen Association gave me a petition. None of the boat owners had given me a petition. But now I find that JJayalalithaa thinks that boats are also Tamils. So they filed a case on that? Okay. Then I said that Sashikala owns boats. She's filed a defamation case on that. And through the government. She hasn't filed it on her own self. The state government has filed it. The state government has filed it. So are you filing a case for misuse of state government? Absolutely. I'm going to sue that official. It should be entered into his confidential records for when it comes up for promotion. He comes that this man has not lived up to the standards of a civil servant. Finally, Modi's rule about, it's an unwritten rule that above 75, they won't make them ministers. Yeah. Where does that leave you? It's an unwritten rule where nobody has told me about it. And if you're in your 60s and you fall sick, and you're in your 70s and 80s, and you don't fall sick, and Everybody, that's all matters. There's no such thing as a retirement age in politics.
Then what has he done with Advani and co?
I don't know what has happened to them. Nobody has told me what has done. Neither of them told me.
The Margdarshak panel is, you know what it is.
No, there Modi and Rajnath are also there.
Just
So
to give some credibility.
All right, then that is your inference.
To lower the average age.
Margdarshak Mandal is not for over 75.
Acha.
There is no such thing as a retirement age in politics. Okay, Moraji became Prime Minister 80, and he was a very good Prime Minister till he was toppled. And then, yes, Vajpayee over 75, Manmohan Singh over 75. I mean, there was no, Manmohan Singh, you may say that he lacked a spine, but you can't say that he didn't do his work. I mean, he was regular in his office and so on. And Churchill became Prime Minister at 90, you see. So at one stage, I mean, that was perhaps his second term. But I would say that if you're in civil service, you have a steady, risk-free career. And you retire at a certain age. But politics, you see, every day, every election, you are up for renewal of your contract with the public. You know, the public can retire you. If the public doesn't want to retire you, who are you to say that?
Well, I can see.
Nobody has told me this. If they told me, I'll give them a reply.
Or file a court case.
Or necessary file a court case.
Well, that's all as usual. We haven't even gone through half the questions, but we've run out of time. Thank you so much for talking to us, and we'll see you soon. That's all for this week. Thank you for watching Cover Story, and we'll see you again same time next week.